What's your favorite scary movie?
Hello. Do you want to play a game?
I ate his liver with some fava beans and a nice Chianti.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
You know, it's Halloween. I guess everyone's entitled to one good scare, huh?
That the power of Christ compels you! The power of Christ compels you! The power of Christ compels you!
Here's Johnny! I see dead people.
Alive! It's alive! It's alive!
It's showtime.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of the Terror Talks. I'm your host, Jeremy, and we have got a great episode planned for you guys today because we are talking all about Halloween Horror Nights. As you know, that is one of our big-ticket topics we talk about here on the show. We love the event. We wish we could go to it all the time. It's just so much fun. We got to go this past year for the first time, and it was an absolute blast. On our last episode, episode 4, we got to have our good friends Gabe and Nikki from the Theme Park Duo podcast. They came on to talk all about the Horror Night Nightmares Speculation Map version 1 for Universal Studios Hollywood, and we had an absolute ball talking to them. We had so much fun banter, so many fun side tangents. We got on everything packed into one episode. It was so much fun. I think we could have literally talked for hours with all the tangents and side trips we took. It was absolutely amazing, and we had so much fun, and I can't wait to do it again. If you haven't listened to that episode, be sure to go check it out. That's episode 4. Be sure to check it out either when you finish this episode or before you finish this episode. You can go check it out right now. And additionally, go check out our friends at the Theme Park Duo podcast. You can find them anywhere. Just look up the Theme Park Duo podcast, and there you will find them. They are fantastic, covering all things out there on the West Coast. Sometimes they get some stuff over here on the East Coast. I think this year at Halloween Horror Nights, we might hear a little chirp from them because I think they're planning on trying to come over here to Orlando for our Halloween Horror Nights 31 event, which is what we are talking about today. We are talking all about Universal Studios Orlando and version 1 of the speculation map that was put out by Horror Night Nightmares for HHN31. But we're going to do things a little bit differently today. So we've got some good friends of ours over at another podcast that we've been trying to get on the show, but unfortunately time just has not been good to us. We've all been busy with this, that, and the other, so we could not get them on to physically talk with us. But as luck would have it, they just put an episode out talking about the exact topic, talking about this speculation map. So I reached out to them, asked them, hey, do you think we could use the audio where you guys talk about Halloween Horror Nights on here and just plop it in, let our listeners hear it, and they graciously agreed. They said absolutely no problem. So today you are not going to really hear anything from me because we are going to turn it over to them, my friends over at the Unofficial Universal Orlando podcast, where they will be talking all about version 1 of the Horror Night Nightmares speculation map for Universal Studios Orlando. So we're not going to waste any more time. We're just going to jump right into things, and I'm going to turn it over to Lee, Tracy, Michelle, and Christopher from the Unofficial Universal Orlando podcast. Enjoy.
We are less than 6 months out from Halloween Horror Nights 31, and Universal last week released the dates for this year's event. Woo!
Now, to reiterate what Seth told us, this year's event will take place over 43 nights from September 2nd through October 31st. Universal have also confirmed that there will be 10 terrifying haunted houses, 5 sinister scare zones, and 2 outrageous live shows. One-night tickets, RIP tours, packages, and Unmasking the Horror tours are also on sale now.
As Michelle has been abducted by a ghost, I will reiterate that Rush of Fear released their latest episode, I think it was 2 days ago, where they talk about that info there in much more depth. So go and find them. They're on their own new feed now. You will not find them in our feed. So go and find Rush of Fear on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever. They're all over the place.
Mm-hmm. Just like us.
Yes.
Yeah. Wherever you find us, you'll find them.
And I learned on that this is the most nights that Halloween Horror Nights have done by one night because they did 42 last year.
Oh, okay. It's interesting.
I'll take it.
Yes. Now,
yeah. Sorry, just to interrupt as well. I will hold Universal to that. The 3 of us here we'll use that word there and go, are you sure now? Because that says 10 terrifying haunted houses.
Oh, that's a big
Do
claim.
you think the three of us will be terrified going through any of these haunted houses?
What does that word mean again? Because I have not felt that.
Do you think my heart rate will be elevated at all?
I hope so. I would like
Doesn't
to
mean
think so.
that sounds like I don't enjoy it. I do. I really, really, really,
do,
really
yeah,
enjoy
but
it.
just don't get scared.
Don't get bloody scared.
I know, and I wish I did.
Yeah, I'm even getting to the point where it's disappointing for me because I love seeing people get scared.
Yeah.
And Alexa's gotten so much more courage now where I'm like, I need you to
Yeah.
scream more.
Well, it's like Michelle as well. Apparently, Michelle's like lost her fear of them now
Good
as well.
Lord.
So
Yeah, I got to find somebody who just won't even go to the event. And bring them.
Raymond will be with us this year.
You
He's a fan.
realise
Oh, okay.
you realise that our mugshots are now being circulated.
I
And we
hope
will
so.
be targeted.
That would be amazing.
Please.
Look, I would love that if you
It's
could get
gonna
a
be all the
scare out.
clowns with
We need
chainsaws
that,
coming after
like,
me.
The opposite of that bracelet that's like not to get scared.
Yeah.
You need
Yeah.
the one that's
Scare
like,
me.
please
Extra
scare
scare.
me
Yeah.
like crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, extra scares.
It
That's a
would be-
good idea.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
Actually, it really is.
A lot of people would pay money for that.
Probably.
Even just $1 a pop, it's nothing. But
And then it knows as a scare actor that you can go extra hard on those
it's
people.
just a glow
Yeah.
Yeah.
bracelet. Yeah.
I signed the waiver. Abduct me, punch me, whatever you
Yeah,
want.
do like literally if you want to manhandle me, crack on. Yeah, you could do that. That's the way to do it in a house. If Universal ever wanted to go down the route of doing like hands-on houses.
Traffic light system, red, amber, green. Glow stick bracelets.
Yeah. So if you've got a green one on,
That's your safe colour.
now
I
I would
would
say
say.
Green means go.
is good. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
So you have
It's
a
a
green one
calm
on,
colour.
means you can touch me, you can push me around, whatever. If you got a red one, don't come anywhere near me. An amber one's like
Just normal.
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 Yeah.
Yeah. You can have that one, Universal.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Just want me royalties for it.
Or free
Our.
our free bracelet.
Or just a free night ticket.
For your bracelet. Or a spork. Or a chork.
Hey, I've got a chalk.
Yes, you have.
I
Still
have.
don't have mine yet.
Kurt Gumbar sent one.
He did. I love him. I did laugh at
Where
the
did you
little
find
letter.
out they were from? Olive Garden.
Is it Olive Garden, somewhere like that?
They're like a thing from a specific chain restaurant.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I doubt that would be Olive Garden, but
I can't
I can't
remember
remember
where
what it was. It came up in my feed. It was really weird. Yeah, so also our friends over at Horror Night Nightmares have released their first spec map for this year. We all know what they're like. So I'm going to pass it over to Chris to take us through this map.
Let's go. I am so excited to talk about this map.
yeah, this is actually a really good map. Yes. So coming into the park, we first start off with Mummy versus Wolfman. So
I'm in.
talking about monsters again. Yeah. Going back to the Universal monsters. Keep it in there.
Now you know me. I'm not the
as-
biggest. I'm not the biggest fan of the monsters. But if you were going to put two together that would get me excited, I think these are the two.
I love the Wolfman.
Yeah. Absolutely. Now, moving past that down Production Central, next we have Seaside Village, which is going to be an original house.
Okay. Doesn't really
Again.
scream. So I have something to say about this that's relevant now, but it could also be relevant later. So I'm going to leave it now. I'm going to
Okay.
leave it. A theory that somebody told me.
It reminds me a little bit of just the name, right? Of the scare zone that we had.
Oh, Fisherman's
What was
Wharf.
Yes.
Yes. Oh,
Kind
yeah.
of gives me those vibes,
That
which
would
was
be
kind of a cool
interesting.
scare zone.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
That was what, 28? It was 27 or 28.
Feels like 5 years ago. So that sounds about
Might
right.
even be. Was it before? I don't
Maybe.
know. Was it before or after Invasion? It might be 27.
Yeah, that would be out of my realm of memory. Now, keep on. If you go down that street a little further, in the corner, we have Fear Street.
Now, people have been clamoring for Fear Street since it came out.
Yeah.
I'm not really bothered.
Go with an open mind.
It's not an IP that makes me go, hell yes, because I didn't actually think that much of the... Was it I don't know what you class it. Was it a 3-part series? Have you watched it, Chris?
I have not. I'm actually looking this up right now.
Vaguely remember it.
It was all right. I'll be honest, there's a couple of characters I didn't like, so I kind of switched off a little bit. It was all right.
So it's like a mini series.
Yeah. Sadie
no
Sink's in it out of Stranger Things because it's like each
That rings a
one.
bell.
There's like this whole like curse thing that goes on, and like the first one's set in like 1986,
yeah.
and then the next one's set in something like 1966, and then the early one's like 1926.
Yeah.
And then it all ties together at the end. It was
Is that the summer camp or something?
yes,
Yeah.
iconography wise, it was all right. I think it could make a decent house, but if you're a fan, like I'm not a fan of the IP.
Could be interesting though.
I gotta sit down and watch this one. The movie poster looks like a Horror Nights movie poster.
Yeah, I mean we're gonna watch it. If it ends up being there, we'll watch it again for sure. Because Jade hasn't seen it either. Yeah.
Now, right next to this one.
Oh, Chris.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
oh
Chris.
yeah.
So excited for this.
Oh my god.
This has the potential to be really, really good. And even if it sucks, it's still really good because of what the IP is. The Last of Us.
Oh my god. When I saw this map.
If you've never played the game, for those of you listening, it is a PlayStation game. If you have a PlayStation, go buy the game.
Both
if you
of
don't
them.
have a PlayStation, go buy a PlayStation.
Yes.
Then go buy the game.
Yes.
Because this game is worth it alone
it
just
really
to buy
is.
a PlayStation.
Yeah.
Put it this way, Jeff Royds isn't this type of game fan, and Chris and I badgered him into playing both of them, and he is like, damn you, Chris and Lee are addicted to it now. I think this is more going to be based on the TV show, which comes out.
When do we know that? When does that come out?
Right. This is where I'm going to temper expectations a little bit, because I've had conversations with people who know a bit more about what goes on with Horror Nights than I do. And so that TV show was supposed to be coming out this year and has been pushed back to next year.
Oh, interesting.
Which means that the house may get pushed back to next year if they want to keep that synergy. But I have heard that as of a couple of weeks ago, it was under construction. Take that for what you will. It would make sense. It wouldn't be the first time that Universal have pushed an IP house back because the IP itself has been pushed back. I will cry.
And I mean, it would make sense to do it based off of the TV show.
Yes.
More than the video game, just because you got that, freshness of a new TV show coming out.
Yeah.
And it would probably hit a larger demographic than just the video game.
But I've said to Tracy, if it doesn't end up being there this year, and it ends up being there next year, I will cry.
Yeah, just come back next year.
Yep. Simple.
Yeah.
Because it has the potential to be amazing.
See, I didn't play this, but I liked watching
Oh
Lee play
my
it.
god, they are.
Yeah. Even if they did it just on the video game, it
Yeah.
has so much content that they can use in there.
Chris,
Like,
you
it's
and I have
great.
talked about it. I have never been affected emotionally by a game as much as I have the second one. It stuck with me for about a week afterwards. It's one of those games that I wish we could erase parts of our memories and go and play them again.
And, I mean, I'm an Xbox guy, right? Or I thought I was. And Alexa's the one that plays PlayStation, and she played this game, said it was awesome. And then I forgot how. Maybe I was just watching some cinematics. And PlayStation has a lot of very cinematic kind of video games.
Yeah.
And I finally jumped into playing this one. We may have talked on the podcast, like off air. And I think I just jumped into it, and literally an hour in, completely hooked. And the best way I can describe this video game is you're playing a movie.
It is.
Yeah.
Completely.
You're just playing a movie. And even if you're not into video games, you don't have to be, because it's like playing a movie.
Yeah.
You can even put the challenge down and just enjoy this beautiful storytelling that's done there.
Yeah. I wish.
So because of that content, I think that has the potential to really put a cool, that's what these houses do, right? They tell you a story.
Yeah.
And you can do that same thing with this.
Yeah.
And also have a lot of pop scares and scare elements in this house.
I wish Tracy was a proper gamer, because I would love to
be a
play
proper
both
gamer.
of these, because they are just story-wise amazing. Just amazing.
Well, hopefully the TV series is as good and you can watch that, Tracy.
Yeah, for definite.
Yeah.
And actually, from that respect, it's kind of good that you haven't played the games, because you'll go in with no preconceived expectations from it, whereas me and Chris will go in with what we expect it to be. But if this ends up being there this year, if it's not House
awesome.
of the Year for me, I will be surprised.
Okay.
I sent this map to our son, and Raymond's like as big a fan of The Last of Us as well, and he was just like, "Oh my god!"
Okay. Now moving right along down, what is this? New York. Next house we have is The Weeknd. Now I'm sure you guys don't listen to a lot of Weeknd.
So I have.
I don't
since
mind a
this
couple of
spec map,
songs, but
and I have tried and tried, and it's just not my taste at all.
well, there's a positive to that. That means that this is something that is going to take less of our time because we will just pass through. We're not going to loiter like we did last time.
No, it's not a scare zone. It's a house.
Oh, it's a house?
Yes.
Oh, we'll do it once because you have to.
But we won't. We'll do it multiple times because we always do. Yeah, we always do. The Walking Dead was but we didn't. We did that every time we went. It just... Apparently, a lot of his videos and stuff are very horror based, so I'm hoping they're basing it more off his sort of
I see, I've already seen live
visual.
performances.
Yes.
I haven't seen the videos.
I don't think I like The Weeknd. I don't think it's going to be based off of his music the same way like Rob Zombie, right?
Yeah.
Like that music kind of felt right there. His music videos, his kind of, not horror, but kind of suspense and stuff like that. I think some of that would work in there. Is it my top choice? No. But I said this before in the Producers Club. If you were happy and excited about Billie Eilish having a house, you should have the same excitement for this because Billie Eilish doesn't have scary music, right? Mainly just whispers all her songs, but that's something else altogether. But yeah, she also, her vibe or her kind of element was that kind of creepy, scary person
dark
that, dark, very dark. And there are elements to The Weeknd that has that. Not everything, but some of his elements are like that.
You know what though? Going over it could turn out to be one of the best houses you've ever done.
And I think this is, I would say at this point, this is the first house we've had unofficially confirmed. Because he's tweeted out references to it himself. So it's a strange one, but okay.
All right, moving right along. We're gonna take a long walk down San Fran. We're gonna pass by Diagon, and we're gonna hit up the Curse of Pandora's Box.
Intriguing.
Now, this has been at Hollywood before, hasn't it? I'm sure this has been at Universal Studios Hollywood's Halloween Horror Nights at least once.
2019.
Is that when it was?
And returned 2 years later during 2021.
Okay.
And
it's rare that we get a Hollywood house over in Orlando like that they've had before. And I've heard good things about it.
I love the Legend of Pandora's
I
Box.
knew you would. For those of us that don't actually know that much, Tracy.
Basically, there's a locked box that contains lots of evils.
Right.
And in a nutshell, it gets...
It says here there's disease.
Yeah. Is it that with
disease,
pestilence
war,
and all of
vice,
that?
toil.
Yeah, and it's just everything that's awful and evil in the world is locked away. And that's why you don't want to
It's a
open
perfect house.
I mean,
Pandora's
it sounds
box
decent,
because
doesn't
it's
it?
just a box of evil.
The opportunity for each area to be very different. I'll have to go and watch some of the videos. We'll have to go and watch some of the videos from like walkthroughs of the Hollywood house. But I expect Orlando's to be better because there's a lot of people.
You mean no lights on?
Well, just black corridors, which is what a lot of people complain about the Hollywood houses, don't they?
Yeah, I also think they're too bright. But
have you been to Hollywood, Chris?
No. I've just seen the videos.
Watched walkthroughs.
Yeah. All right. Next up, let's walk down over to the Men in Black tents. So, first one, we have El Chupacabra.
Tracy's very excited for this one.
I love.
I don't know enough about it, but Tracy's what she's told me and the brief images I've sort of Googled. Okay, it's going to scare the crap out of Jade because she doesn't like anything animal based.
I watch all those really trashy fact or fiction and paranormal files and stuff like that, and Chupacabra comes up so many times, and I'm just like, yes, I'm in.
I think it started in Puerto Rico, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's definitely South
like
America.
eating all the chickens and all the
and cows and
I don't know an awful lot. I know the name, obviously. Everyone I heard El Chupacabra, but I don't know what it is. I think it's. I'm going to reference something that no one's going to have a clue what I'm talking about now. It was a strain of weed that someone was smoking in the zombie audio drama that I listened to called We're Alive. They called it El Chupacabra.
Maybe that's what this is.
Well,
They
that
just
must be further
pump
than
like
I got.
weed smoke out into the house.
Yeah.
Oh, but just like being at home.
Yeah.
Stinks
Don't
around
say
here.
that.
Not
People
home,
think-
home.
yeah.
There's a pocket in the air in the village where I can't walk past it. It's like, oh, I need to eat now. Got the munchies. Anyway,
Yeah. I mean, it's got potential.
Yeah.
it does.
It has the
Definitely.
scary aspect there, and
Yes.
and let Universal Creative do their storytelling and make a story up and try to, or just use the stuff that you see on all those Sci-Fi Channel Chupacabra stories and go with that.
Reskin the American Werewolf.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
if they can get
Well, I
some
think
werewolf
The Chupacabra's
level
smaller,
puppets.
so you have to get like a small actor to play the Chupacabra.
Okay.
That's true.
Yeah. All right, right
Wow.
next to that we have Underground Creatures. This is also another original house.
Intriguing.
Yeah, it's funny. When I was on the first episode of this season of Rush of Fear, someone actually reached out to me and went, "This sounds like one you mentioned on there." So one of my wish lists for this was The Descent.
Mm-hmm.
And someone said, "Oh, that kind of sounds like what this could be." I mean, I would love a Descent house, but
I said mole people, didn't I?
yeah, it could be very interesting. Underground Creatures opens up a lot of potential.
This could potentially be quite a claustrophobic house.
Yes, which is for someone who is claustrophobic in a house, I'd be quite happy because it would make me uncomfortable.
Yeah, that's what you need.
But
Yeah, if they can't scare you, use one of your other fears.
yes, so someone reached out to me yesterday and told me of a fan theory that's currently going around that Seaside Village and Underground Creatures are like on top. Seaside Village is on top of Underground Creatures, and that it is not unknown for Horror Nights Nightmares to use spec maps against its readers. And I must admit, when I saw Seaside Village, I was like, ooh, Midnight Mass? Oh no, it says original. So the fan theory going around at the moment is that they are both red herrings and that Seaside Village and Underground Creatures will be mashed together and will be a Midnight Mass house.
Well,
And personally, I would be over the moon
Well, what
if
do you
we
think
got
about
a Midnight Mass house.
Midnight Mass, Underground Creatures fits as well
Exactly.
because I don't want to
That's
spoil
where
it in
it could-
case people haven't
yeah.
seen it.
But you should, because it's amazing.
And then obviously the Seaside Village. Yeah, that's kind of
Yeah. I immediately
that's an interesting
thought
theory.
Midnight Mass was Seaside Village, but then it said original underneath, and I was like, oh, okay. Look, if it doesn't end up being that, and those are two original houses,
Oh, yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
I love me originals, so
yes.
it's bring it on. Now, going away from originals, walk down the street and we head over to the scariest part of the park, which is Kid Zone. We have The Evil Dead,
Right. Now we've had...
which
Go on, Chris.
we've had
Yes.
before.
The
Ish.
remake, I think if they're doing The Evil Dead again, this has got to be based on the original.
Which I will be all over if it is.
Yes. Especially
I
if they
think so,
manage to mash Evil Dead 2 in with it as well.
You've got to have a little woodland area where you just have the noise, where you are the camera and you go through and it's like, yeah, you just got to have that being pumped through trees.
Such huge Evil Dead fans.
Yes. Oh, so much
all
they
over
could do.
that.
Yes. Yeah.
I
It'd
love
just
Evil
be
Dead.
phenomenal. Yeah. Did you do the remake house then, Chris?
Yeah.
And how was it?
I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was a really fun house.
Because the movie wasn't really The Evil Dead. It was very much one of those, we're going to make a horror movie that's based in a cabin and we're just going to call it Evil Dead, even though it's not
Correct.
really the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, no, we thoroughly enjoyed that house. What was that? That was probably around 2018, around there, right?
I think it
2019.
was earlier than that, wasn't it?
I don't remember.
But I do remember us going through it. And like I said, it wasn't a very, not that the houses are scary, but it was more of a fun house.
27.
27? There you
Yeah.
go.
Oh, no, hang on.
Yeah, it was like
No, that was Ash versus Evil Dead. 23.
you're talking
20
about Ash versus
Wow.
Evil Dead.
No,
Oh, you're not
no.
talking about that.
No,
Oh, okay.
the Evil Dead house, not the Ash versus Evil Dead house. There was an Evil Dead house based on the remake that was at
Okay.
23.
So the answer would have been yes. I have gone to that house.
You just don't remember it.
I just do not remember it. After so many years,
Yeah,
start to mash together.
It was 9 years ago.
Yeah. I barely remember what happened 9 minutes ago. So,
but yeah, even if they did like the trilogy, Evil Dead 2, and Army of Darkness all kind of rolled into one house, it'd be amazing.
Yeah.
Because you kind of get that comedic element as well.
mm-hmm. And I get to rewatch the movies for Halloween.
Exactly.
Yes.
I mean, that's always a bonus, isn't it?
Yeah. And then the last house we have here, right next to Evil Dead, is Halloween, which
I'm assuming it's based on the new one.
Which didn't do very well.
No, I haven't seen it. We watched
I have no interest.
the first one of the reboots, or not reboots, whatever they are, where Sarah Connor traps him in the house and burns him at the end. Oh, no, sorry, Jamie Lee Curtis. Which one was that? I don't even know what they're all called now.
That was the one before this one, right? Because they're doing like a trilogy.
Yes.
So that was like the first one of the trilogy?
Yes.
The recent trilogy?
Yeah. It was cack. It was like Terminator meets Halloween.
Halloween, and then this one was Halloween Kills
Yeah.
that just came out.
And then isn't the last one like Halloween Ends or something?
Yes. Jamie Lee Curtis returns and Halloween Ends. There you go.
I mean, talk about the name of the movie, like on the nose, Halloween Ends.
I mean, you've made so many.
Yeah.
You run out of words.
I mean, for me and Tracy, having not got the Halloween fatigue that you guys will have had, having so many Halloween houses recently, I would be excited to go through it because we haven't had a Michael Myers house. We haven't been through a Michael Myers house. So for us, it's new.
Okay. Yeah, I've literally done 1,000
Exactly.
Michael Myers houses. So I'm okay either way. I'm not bothered by it because there's a lot of other good stuff going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been rehashed. And that's to be expected, right? And there's only so many IPs, and then you got to have some of the bigger staple IPs to bring people in as well. And I think Halloween hits a lot with your, I want to say not older demographic, but people who were more into that from coming from like the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
So I think it has its place.
No.
But yeah, that is all the houses.
No what?
I can't remember what the word is. No hints on scare zones yet.
Nothing. So if that
Everything
ended up
is unknown.
If that ended up
Squid
being
Game
the
scare
map,
zone.
how would you guys feel? If it ended up being exactly that,
I'd be happy. I'd be relatively happy.
Yeah.
I'd be over the
I would
moon.
be happy.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'd be happy because The Last of Us would still be on there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It has some really cool original stuff.
Yeah.
And as much as people are complaining about The Weeknd, I think The Weeknd could be a hit or miss.
Yeah.
And then Pandora's Box sounds awesome because you have all types of evil and you can go any direction with that.
You can.
Now, again, to throw another spanner in the works, there's a lot of speculation going around of the image that Universal released to announce the dates last week. And that is a blood-scratched image saying, "Don't go alone," and a red bloodied handprint on a wallpapered wall.
Oh, yes.
And I've showed you it, Tracy.
have,
I'm
yeah.
assuming you've seen it at this point, Chris. But a lot of people have been saying that that wallpaper on that background is very, very similar to that in The Haunting of Bly Manor. And having had a look at it, it's not exactly the same, but it's not a million miles away. Which makes me think this version of the spec map potentially is probably nowhere near what it's going to be. Because if you potentially take Seaside Village and Underground Creatures out and make that into Midnight Mass, you've then got to find somewhere to put The Haunting of Bly Manor in there as well, which would be interesting because that would be 3 Netflix shows in there.
Hang on, though, because Seaside Village and Underground Creatures are on opposite sides of the park. So if you're doing one...
No, it's got nothing to do with where they are. They're just on there as red herrings.
Yes, but what I'm saying is, so if those two were combined to be Midnight Mass, that would mean there would be a soundstage or a tent available.
Yeah. But then what I don't... The problem is you're then losing 2 originals and putting in two IPs, which then
From the
puts
same
you
family.
as 80-20 as far as IPs to originals. And I know yes, there's some stuff there I'd be excited to see, but I'd also be disappointed that I'm losing that ratio of IP to original.
Or going back to what you said about The Last of Us and it being based off the TV show, that gets pushed back.
Possibly.
And they have a slot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look, we know how good Horror Nights Nightmares are of doing these spec maps. I looked at last year's first one and compared it to what was there, and it was 90% spot on.
Yeah.
And then there was a big chat in the Producers Club about it, and it's like, I don't think you can use last year's as a good indication of how close that first spec map is to what it is, because we kind of knew a few already. So you go back to 2019, and I was actually going through it the other day with Jade. Barring actual names, like they just put unknown original, it was about 70% spot on.
Mm-hmm.
So they're usually pretty bang on. I just hope the ones I want aren't the ones that go.
Yeah. I do have something that I have no idea. Well, like obviously final posters and images and stuff like that. But the 31, the 3 needs to be flipped. So then in the mirror, it's a 13.
Oh yeah, you said
and
that.
They need to do that.
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry, that's my favourite number.
But look, if that was the house list for this year,
Mm-hmm.
I'd be incredibly excited.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm more
without
than happy.
a doubt. There's nothing on there apart from maybe The Weekend
Even then, I'm just like,
that I
never
wouldn't
mind.
be excited to go through.
no, there's nothing that's made me go, ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fear Street
Not
maybe,
doing that.
but I need to watch it again.
No, that's got potential. If you think about the sets on there,
Yeah.
you could have some really creepy sets.
Yeah. There's some
Yeah.
decent sort of characters in there as well.
Yeah.
Even
So-
the Chupacabra one kind of has me interested.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm
you can
excited.
like you mentioned sets, and I think of like everything when that was happening, right? Like it was all about finding like these dead like cows and
Yeah.
chickens, and then it was eating things. So I think you could do some really cool set pieces.
Yeah.
You know, it eating something like a live actor eating another live actor or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of potential there.
Yeah.
Exciting.
Yeah, I just want The Last of Us.
I'm with you, buddy. Even if they just give us a scare zone, don't
I just-
take it out all the way. I'd love a house, but
I just
Yeah.
need it. Yeah.
See, I want to see a scare zone that is Squid Game doll,
I know.
but the crowd has to do it.
I think it wouldn't work, but yeah, it'd be cool.
I could see them doing that in New York.
Yeah, I think they could do that.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
Yeah, I
like
think that'd
this-
be fun.
They were doing crowd participation
Yeah.
for the controller.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Obviously,
Where they
not
were-
real bullets, because
Yeah.
you need these people to
Because you
spend
could
the
have
money.
it on that stage and get... But yeah, you
Why
could.
not?
Why not?
Yeah,
It is Florida.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, well, we'll leave it at that.
Yeah. I would.
Yeah, because I'm sure they were saying on Rush of Fear that I was listening to today that this time last year we'd had 2 announcements by this point.
Wow.
2 house announcements
It's
already.
crazy,
I
it's
know
not even Easter yet, and
I know Beetlejuice had been
Don't, I'm
announced by
still
now.
sore over that one.
Apparently the merch is still in the park. So.
It better be. I'm regretting not buying that bag the other day.
But we should
It
be
may
getting
still be in the Hallows Eve store for you when you get there.
Yeah.
We should be getting a first official announcement soon.
He is home. Probably tomorrow.
Probably. No, it'll be a
So you
Thursday.
should.
They
Oh, yeah.
always do them on Thursdays, so it'll be Thursday.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
Cool. I am excited for
Yes.
this year, and this map gets me even more excited.
yeah. Looks good.
Hell yeah.
So, Rush of Fear have just released a new episode. They'll be releasing their spec map episode on the 13th of April. Oh, 13th. Good number.
That's every
So they do it on the 13th.
so every not spontaneous episode will be out on the 13th
That's
of April.
Awesome. That's
Yeah.
perfection.
That's good.
Oh,
I
sorry, not the
applaud that.
13th of April, the 13th of
The
the
13th
month.
of the month, yeah.
Every 13th of April there'll be an episode. Awesome.
An annual episode.
No, I mean the release of their
Yes.
episodes on the 13th of the month.
So make sure to subscribe to them on their own feed.
Yes, as I
Yeah.
said, you will not get them on here. If you
No.
want to listen to them, you need to go and find them on. They should be on your podcast app of choice.
Yeah. Wherever you look for us, like I said before, wherever you
Yes.
look for us, look for them. They will be there.
All right, that was our friends over at the Unofficial Universal Orlando podcast, Lee, Tracy, Michelle, and Chris. And I must reiterate what they said. Absolutely. Go check out their sister podcast, The Rush of Fear. Wherever you find your podcast, you will find them. Now, we're going to take a short break to just hear from a couple of our sponsors, but when we come back, we are going to hear from some other special friends over on the West Coast who are going to talk a little bit about Universal Orlando's version 1 spec map for Halloween Horror Nights over here, and we're going to throw in some of our thoughts and feelings, sort of jumping in, piggybacking off of what the UUOP gang said, as well as what the Theme Park Duo gang says. So, we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Are you looking for more content to listen to? Check out our friends at the New Age Philosophers podcast featuring our very own co-host, Brooke. Join them as they discuss topics ranging from philosophy, cryptids, conspiracies, and so much more. No topic is off the table. Just remember to keep an open mind, keep discussing, and don't stop thinking. If you're looking for other interesting content, be sure to give our friends at Gather by the Ghostlight a visit. A theatrical experience podcast. Join them as they gather and read stories from a variety of genres around the Ghostlight, your personal campfire. No matter what you are looking for, both are sure to provide you a fun, informative, and entertaining experience. Check them out today and let them know the Terror Talks sent you.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, here on episode 5 of the Terror Talks. Before the break, you heard from our awesome friends over at the Unofficial Universal Orlando podcast. We heard from Lee, Tracy, Michelle, and Chris talking all about this version 1 speculation map for HHN31 over there on the East Coast at Universal Studios Orlando. Now we're going to hear a couple of thoughts from our friends over at the Theme Park Duo podcast, Nikki and Gabe. You heard them on our last episode where we were talking all about the speculation map version 1 for Universal Studios Hollywood. So we're going to let them sort of talk for a little bit, and we're just going to throw in our thoughts and, just chit-chat a little bit about this spec map that we have for Universal Studios Orlando. So I'm going to sort of turn it over to them, but you'll be hearing from us too. Here we go.
So first up on the spec map for Orlando is Universal Monsters, The Mummy versus the Wolfman. So they're also following the footsteps of their previous maze, which they had the Bride of Frankenstein Lives. But they're taking the Mummy and putting him against the Wolfman, very similar to how we had Frankenstein versus the Wolfman in years past. So I'm excited to see that. I want to know if they're I'm interested in the same situation of like, what version are they doing? Are they putting their own spin on it? Is it going to be old school, new school? What is it going to be? So I'm interested in that, of course.
So to reiterate what Nikki and Gabe both said, we have Universal Monsters, The Mummy versus the Wolfman. I am very much curious to see how this house is going to play out, because this is a very interesting house. Anything with Universal Monsters is absolutely amazing. What we have seen in years past, at the very least over in Hollywood, the Universal Monster houses have been next to none. We've had the classic Universal Monsters, just all of them together. We've had Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman, like they mentioned. We've had The Bride of Frankenstein Lives, which was a phenomenal house at HHN 30. And so I'm very curious to see what they do. Again, I am very curious, much like everyone else is, I would assume, as to whether or not this is going to be related to the Brendan Fraser mummy, or if it's going to be more to the more original classic mummy. So I'm very curious to see what they do, especially with this Orlando one. I'm very curious to see how the Mummy and the Wolfman interact together. I'm very curious to see what they do and how this plays out, but I think this will definitely be an interesting one, and given the location it's in, it seems to have the classic monster area that we had last year in the big soundstage right at the front, with the right out in front of the Music City Plaza stage is where the queue line will be for that. So they would clearly be expecting a large capacity house here. So this will be an interesting one. I'm excited to see what we get with it.
Then we have Seaside Village,
which is an original.
So this is what we were talking about before, is when an original spec maps that or older spec maps for previous years, they've had things say like plant maze, and everyone's
Yeah.
like, what the heck is a plant maze? It ends up being Seeds of Extinction, stuff like that. So,
So
it's
the
very...
title might change, but it's like a loose theme.
Yeah, like they don't have the title down, but they have the theme down.
Yeah.
So Seaside Village, and who knows if that's going to be associated with type of sea monsters or something, who knows. But that'd be really interesting.
So the Seaside Village house. Lots of interesting thoughts on this one, both from Gabe and Nikki, and also from the UUOP podcast and the crew over there. I have some interesting thoughts, and I'm sort of more in line with Lee on this one with the Seaside Village theory. I've heard this theory that he mentioned of this potentially going hand in hand with another speculated house on the map. I suppose I could see from Gabe and Nikki's point of view as well, sea creatures, sea monsters, that sort of thing. It wouldn't be the first time they've done a water-based house before, because if you look back at 29, they had Depths of Fear, which, if my memory recalls correctly, they had running water in that house, so it was very water-themed. So it could be that, but it could also be in line with the theory that I've heard about this house and another house coming together, and I'll mention that house when we get to it a little bit later. If you listen to the episode earlier in the episode, you already know what I'm talking about.
Next one up, I'm actually quite pissed at the fact that we don't have it at ours.
Yeah.
And that's Fear Street.
Fear Street.
Because at the time, people were, a lot of people were having the conversation of like, oh, we really want, what was that? What was that show on Netflix? Not Fear Street.
Oh, shoot. I don't know.
What's it called? What was it? The Korean one.
Oh, Squid Games.
Squid Games.
Yeah.
It might not be Korean. I might be wrong there.
No, I think it is.
Squid Games.
Yeah.
People were talking about Squid Games, and I'm like, that won't work. That's stupid.
Yeah.
We should do Fear Street. And if Fear Street actually happens, I'm going to be mad because we don't have it here.
But we're going.
Hopefully we're going. Fingers crossed we're going.
Fingers crossed. Third try.
Third try. Cancel 2 years in a row.
Okay.
So, Fear Street. This is one I'm super excited about, but I do have some mixed feelings about. So, unlike the UUOP gang, I actually really, really, really loved the show. And I can understand where some people come from on not liking it so much, and I can see all views of it, and I don't discredit anybody's opinion on the show or on the series. If you didn't like it, you didn't like it. It's as simple as that, Nobody has a wrong opinion on this. I, for one, happen to like it, but I take a slightly different view with Fear Street. I personally can sort of see it as a house, but I honestly feel like they could do this as a very interesting scare zone. I could see this being a very neat scare zone. And I say this because I just feel like there's not enough characters to have a fully fleshed out house. Whereas in some houses, you can, especially with like originals, you can put as many characters as you want because the sky's the limit. With this one, you only have so many villains and characters that there's only so much you can do. And I'm not sure that it would lend itself to a house as much as I feel it could lend itself to a scare zone. But that's just me. That's just my opinion on it. Maybe it would actually be a great house. And I'm very curious to see what Universal Creative could do. I can sort of argue with Gabe and Nikki a little bit. I've never watched Squid Games, but I've heard that it could potentially work really nicely as a haunted house as well. So that'd be kind of interesting too. And it wouldn't be out of the realm of things that Universal has done before, using IPs that aren't necessarily horror to create their houses. So I'm curious. I'm very, very interested in what we're going to get with Fear Street. And I look forward to it. I think it can potentially, they can do some great things. There are some great characters in there. It pushes the envelope. It's fantastic. It's a fantastic series for starters. So I'm very curious to see what we're going to get with it. I think it's going to be awesome.
So after that, we have The Last of Us, which is a video game. Which the last time I think we've seen video games was they did Resident Evil in Orlando, and then we had a Silent Hill maze in Hollywood.
Yeah,
So
I
that's
wouldn't
really
hate it though. It's a zombie
I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
It's different.
I haven't played the game, but I enjoyed the trailers for the game.
Yeah, I've not played the game either, so I have no idea anything about it.
So, The Last of Us. This is one that could make a very interesting house. And I want to say, as I have watched my brother play it, I myself have never played the video game, but I've watched my brother play it, and I've always thought, like, this is really creepy. This could lend itself so well to a horror movie, to a haunted house, because it's got that eerie feel. You've got these creepy zombie-esque creatures that you are going up against in this video game. And I feel like the things that Universal could do with these would be amazing. And I personally have never seen a video game house done before, so I would be very excited for this. However, I do see the perspective that the UUOP team came from, saying that, oh, it could be the TV show that's being made. I personally would not want it to be based on the TV show. I would much rather be based on the video game itself. However, if the video game and TV show are, shall we say, in sync with each other, they're the same thing, essentially, then I'd be more behind it. But if the TV show veers off on a totally different tangent from the video game, I don't want it. I would prefer the video game version. Plus, like I said, I've never seen a video game house before, so I feel like this could be a lot of fun to experience. I know for me, I would love it. I can tell you right now, my brother would love it because he loves the game. So this would be a really cool one to experience, and I'm very curious to see how they do it, if they work at all in close relation with Naughty Dog, the company who created it, if they work in close relation with Sony to create a truly immersive experience for this one. Because I know sometimes they will actually collaborate with the actual creators of the IP they're using. So I would really like to see that collaboration actually working with the creators of the game, if they use the game, or the creators of the TV version. But as long as there's that collaboration to make it as authentic as possible, I'm here for it. I think it could be a lot of fun and really creepy.
And then the next maze, and we told you guys about this when we were talking about the Hollywood one, but it was the Curse of Pandora's Box.
Yep.
Which is what we had here in Hollywood. And I'm very interested to see what they do with it over there in Orlando, because...
like if it's just like a carbon copy or if they put their own spin on it, so it'd be interesting to see.
Because, I'm not going to lie, like that maze was not their style.
Yeah, no.
At all. Like it is 100% not their style. So... I'm interested to see if they're just taking the story and putting their own visual spin on it, or if they're completely just transplanting it, because that would be really interesting.
Yeah.
Because I don't feel like their style of like trigger noises would work for it.
Yeah.
At all. So it's interesting.
Okay, Pandora's Box. This is a house that I have been dying for since I saw it at Hollywood. I didn't get to go through it. Obviously, I've never been to Hollywood. But ever since I've seen walkthroughs, ever since I've heard the concept for it, ever since I've seen the set building for it, pictures, videos, you name it, this is a house I have wanted at HHN in Orlando since I saw it at Hollywood. It is such a cool house. It is such a unique house. It's the classic blacklight maze. You can't go wrong with it. And, you know, we talked really deep in depth about the potential of this coming over. We talked about this on episode 4 when we discussed the fact that it looked like Hollywood might be getting a potential house that we also saw in years past. So I am all for Pandora's Box. I recall Nikki and Gabe both saying that we should be very, very excited if we are getting Pandora's Box, because the team at Orlando, Universal Creative in Orlando, can only make it better and can only plus it. I'm hoping it's not a 100% carbon copy. I'm hoping they don't just, you know, copy, paste, transplant it in here, drop it in the park. I really hope we get some original ideas with it and we get to have our own creative spin on it. I would love to see some of the things that are iconic that appeared in the Hollywood version, but I'd love to see just Orlando take it, turn it on its head, and really just unleash hell with Pandora's Box. So this is one I'm very, very excited for, and I cannot wait to see what they do with it. I hope it happens.
And then another interesting thing is that they also have a Mexican folklore maze.
Oh, yeah.
So they have El Chupacabra, which is an original, which obviously I'm super into.
Okay, so El Chupacabra, I don't know anything about it. I know it's this folklore, shall we say, myth kind of deal. and that's all I know about it. I don't really know what the creature is. I don't know where it originates, anything like that. But I'm just curious to see what Universal does with this, because we've seen some, I guess you could say, some of their takes on folklore type haunted houses when we saw Yeti, Terror of the Yukon, and I want to say there was another one very similar to that, like Swamp Yeti House in years past. I cannot remember. I didn't get to go to that event. I didn't get to go to the Yeti Terror of the Yukon year either. That was HHN29. But we've seen them do these sort of folklore, urban legend type houses before over in Hollywood. You know, we've seen La Llorona and that sort of deal. And so I'm very curious to see if this one comes to fruition. What could it mean? What could it be? What sort of setting will we see with this? I'm very, very curious. I feel like this could be very interesting and definitely something that I personally haven't seen yet. So I'm curious to see what Universal will do with it. I'm curious if this one will make it into the final speculation map.
Yeah.
And then the next one is underground creatures.
The sewers.
It could be the sewers.
Or it could be worms.
Could be graboids.
It could be tremors.
Tremors.
They would never do that.
Just gigantic puppet
in my
monsters.
dreams.
In your dreams.
Yeah.
Okay, so underground creatures. This is the one that I have these theories about, that I've heard these theories about, that Lee mentioned, of Horror Night Nightmares sort of putting red herrings into the spec map to throw people off. A part of me really hopes I'm right about this, because I think Universal could do some good things with the theory at hand here, which is this underground creatures house and the Seaside Village house. If you put the two together, it almost sounds like two red herrings to create a Midnight Mass house. Midnight Mass is another popular Netflix mini-series that appeared sort of around the same time as Fear Street, I think. It was from the creators of Hill House, which would fall right in line with the fact that we've already had Universal work with the same people, the same team. So this is a connection that's already been made. It solidifies this sort of Netflix relationship that we see. It would be a little odd to have two Netflix houses, I think, but it wouldn't necessarily be unheard of either, especially with both Netflix IPs being such major IPs. That being said, this is just a red herring, or it's not just a red herring, this is just a theory of it being a red herring. So we don't know for sure if Horror Night Nightmares is trying to throw us off, or maybe Universal threw Horror Night Nightmares off and they legitimately put the spec map out as this, but Universal's really the one throwing curveballs. We don't know. These could be two completely original mazes. If they are, I'm very curious to see what we get with this house. Underground creatures, it could be anything. It could be a very claustrophobic house. You know, there's no limit to what Universal could do with an original concept like this and really play with that fear of being underground, trapped underground, and being very claustrophobic. So I'm curious. I'm curious to see if we truly are seeing a tip-off here about it not really being what it is, or if this is what it comes to fruition. I'm curious to see how this evolves in speculation maps to come. So hopefully, we'll be pleasantly surprised, but I'm definitely interested to see where it goes. I'm going to disagree a little bit with you, Gabe and Nikki. I don't think we're seeing a Tremors house. I don't want to hear Kevin Bacon running around with a really bad Southern accent. I'm good. I will have to take a hard pass on that. So please, God, no Tremors houses. Please, I'm begging you.
So we have underground creatures, and then Evil Dead. Same thing again, same font, same logo, same treatment used, so who knows which version.
Okay, so Evil Dead. That's the next one. On the day that I am recording this, I have officially watched Evil Dead now, and I can say that I'd be super excited if this is a house. I hope they base it on the original, or maybe a collection of the originals, because the originals were gory as all get out. They used some really intense, weird camera angles in the film, so I'd be curious to see if there's a way to somehow incorporate that into the house. It's a really screwy film in my opinion, but I loved it. And so I am all for Evil Dead. If this came to the event, I would be very, very excited. I have not watched the remake yet, so I'm not sure if I can appreciate the remake as much as I like the original one. I will have to watch it and see, and I will definitely be watching it and seeing if Evil Dead is one of those things that sticks around on the spec map when we get version 2. So I'm very, very, very curious. Very curious to see what we're going to get, but I'm all here for Evil Dead. I think this could be a lot of fun.
And then they have Halloween listed.
They do.
Which, is it Halloween from 2020 or 2021?
Yeah, this one will probably get refined too, maybe, but right now it just says Halloween.
But also, it could be Halloween 3. Who knows?
Could be.
Because that was a maze that was rumored from last year too, and it was a maze that was supposed to be in Hollywood.
Yeah.
And it got turned into Halloween 6: Curse of Michael Myers, something like that.
I don't remember.
But like everybody saw pictures of the maze that had Silver Shamrock stuff all over it.
Yeah.
And then it got scrapped. So I'm curious to know if that may have gone over there. Who knows?
Maybe.
Okay, so Halloween. This is one I'm very excited about because I love Michael Myers. He's one of my favorite horror movie villains. I love the franchise, whether it is the original one, the reboot, or even what some would call the redheaded stepchild in the middle, the third Halloween season of The Witch. I can't see this being Season of the Witch over here in Orlando. I don't know why Universal would just randomly throw that in. I'd be all for it. Don't get me wrong. I love Season of the Witch. I was very, very jealous when I thought that Hollywood was going to get it. And it looked like for a while they were going to get it. It looked like it was all but confirmed. So if we got Season of the Witch, I'm here for it. I feel like I would love it because it's got that real 80s vibe to it. It's a true 80s horror movie because, the original Halloween is the 70s. Or if you fast forward to the new Halloweens, that's 2000s. And the only true 80s ones is that third one, which is the red-headed stepchild, as I call it, because you've got that awesome synth score. And it's got this sci-fi quality to it. And so for me, I'd be all for it. But I'm also sort of hoping that it is a play on the newest Halloweens. And I want to say by the time that the event is underway, we will, at some point in the season, see the new Halloween Ends, actually drop in theaters. So I wouldn't rule it out of the realm of possibilities that this could sort of be a house that incorporates all three, maybe feature a little bit of Halloween Ends in it to sort of be well, this is what will happen, and then sort of push people to go see the film. So I'd be okay with that, personally, just to see how it would incorporate the newer films. But since I never got to experience them, I would also be totally cool with it being a play on the original Halloweens, any of them really. So Halloween, whichever iteration it is, I'm here as long as Michael Myers is in there or it has something to do with that Season of the Witch one. I'm good with it. Let's do it.
And then they have The Weeknd. Then they have their take on that artist in that maze.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, so The Weeknd. Again, we talked about it on episode 4. I don't really know what to expect with it. I've never seen a music house before, so I'm very curious. I'm okay with it as long as it's done the right way and they really put a hell of a lot of effort into it to make it good. I'm here for it, and I will give anything a chance. So I've seen some of the creepy imagery that people have been talking about with The Weeknd, so I could see this as being a very creepy house if it's played correctly. So I'm here for it. I will give it a chance. I want to see what Universal can do with it. So I hope it happens. I still very upset we never got to see the Billie Eilish house because that one caught so much backlash. So I'm very hopeful that Universal can really play some fun things here and make it amazing. I know they will, because that's just what they do. They're awesome like that. So I'm excited to see what Universal pulls out.
Interesting stuff for Halloween Horror Nights this year, if any of this comes to fruition. A lot of fun stuff, a lot of fun themes, a lot of question marks, too. So.
Oh, yeah, it's early days, folks, so things will change.
Very early. And then also, we didn't mention it, but Marathon of Mayhem is rumored to come back, which I'm not surprised because This is a very popular water show at Horror Nights in Orlando.
All right, so yes, as they mentioned, we have 2 shows that are speculated. One of them will more than likely be the Marathon of Mayhem. Very curious to see what we get with that. Last year's for HHN30 was a Jack-themed, icon-themed. It was all about Jack and his icons and being that 30th anniversary, just being absolute chaos. And then the year before that was the more 1980s, very reminiscent sort of theme, and that was an interesting one for HHN29. So I'm very curious to see what we get with that. We don't know what the other live show could be or where it could be, because last year for 30 and in the year prior, 29, both shows were done. Well, not both shows, but the other show that was done would take place in the Fear Factor Live Stadium. We're not sure if anything will take place in there this year or not, because there was supposed to be some rumored demolition on that stadium, but we're not sure. Things have apparently ceased. Permits have been filed and declined and all this crazy stuff, so we don't know what we're getting or when we'll get it or when we'll see it or any of that information. So we're sort of sitting here on pins and needles waiting to see what could potentially be the next step in this. So we're curious as to where the house is going to go, but it will still be awesome. I guarantee that. But we're definitely rumored to get 2 shows. We're rumored to get the 5 Scare Zone. Well, we're not even rumored. Universal has come out and announced that we will for sure get 10 houses, 5 Scare Zones, and 2 live shows. So we're very excited to see what those shows are, what the houses are, what those Scare Zones are, and where they are. Because, there's a lot of question marks at this point. Nothing is for certain. Things are definitely going to change a lot as we go through the speculation season. So just keep an eye out. We will post every time we get another version of a spec map. We might do a little mini episode to cover any changes that we see, that sort of thing. It's definitely going to be interesting. But apart from that, that's it. That's HHN31 in Orlando version 1 speculation map. Lots of fun things going on. We are super, super excited to see what we're going to get. And I really hope we start to see some true announcements coming up real soon. The event is going to go from September 3rd to October 31st, ending on Halloween. 43 nights. It's going to be awesome. Our plan is to be there opening weekend and closing weekend. Hopefully we are able to make that happen. But that is going to do it for us today on this episode of the Terror Talks. We hope you enjoyed it. If you liked it, be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Let us know what you liked, what you didn't like. You can find us on all of our podcasting places. Anywhere you get your podcast, we are there. We have changed things. So we are actually no longer on Anchor. We are now on Libsyn is a new one that we are on. So be sure to go check us out there. All links in the description, all the places you can find us in the description. Go check us out. Let us know what you want to see. Let us know what you want to hear. You can email us at theterrortalks@gmail.com. You can reach out to us on all of our social medias. We are on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube. You name it, we're there. Reach out to us. We love hearing from you guys. Thank you so much to my friends, the Unofficial Universal Orlando podcast, Lee, Tracy, Michelle, and Chris. Thank y'all so much for lending us part of your episode for today. We're so glad that we could sort of feature you on here in this capacity and let you share some of your thoughts on this speculation map. It's unfortunate we couldn't have everyone here together, but hopefully one day soon we'll get to record an episode with them. Thank you so much to my friends at the Theme Park Duo for not just recording an episode with us on episode 4 where we talked about Hollywood speculation map, but for also allowing us to use their audio to cover the Orlando spec map as well. It's always great to collaborate with our friends across the board. We love getting to work with everyone, so thank you. We couldn't do it without you, and I look forward to many more collaborations. Be sure to go check both of them out, the Unofficial Universal Orlando, also UUOP. Anywhere that you get your podcast, you can find them. And then go check out our friends, the Theme Park Duo podcast. Anywhere you get your podcast, you can find them. And also, go check out our friends over at the Rush of Fear podcast. On the day that we are releasing this, it is the day after Rush of Fear just issued their version 1 speculation map episode for Orlando. So be sure to go check them out, give them some love. You can find them anywhere as well. We've got all of their information down in the description below, so please go give them some love. Go check them out. Let them know that their friends at the Terror Talk sent you. We love to have this support across the board for everybody. We've got some great episodes planned in the future, some great things coming up, some great collaborations, so much fun stuff already happening this year in 2022, and it's only April. We've got so much further to go. We cannot wait until we hit October, the peak season for Halloween. It's going to be so much fun. But thank you guys so much for being a fantastic audience. Thank you for tuning in each and every time we put out an episode. We couldn't do it without you because you truly are what makes the show go round. So thank you guys so much. And until next time, be safe out there. Don't text and drive. And be excellent to each other. We'll see you in the fog.